not have a major pro sports team. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money Talk.
Here's what happens when you advertise on KBLA Talk 1580.
3, possibly 4 weeks ago, I heard an advertisement on your radio station from a company called Grid Solar. I would love to have that phone number so I can reach out to them with reference to solar panels being installed on my property.
Our listeners are aware and engaged, but more than that, they are loyal. When they hear empowering messages that uplift their community and help them live better lives, they respond. No medium reaches this coveted black audience like KBLA Talk 1580. So, hit us up today at smb@kbla1580.com and let us help you connect with our loyal listeners. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Money to put. You're invited to join KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress for a Vice Presidential Debate Watch Party featuring Governor Tim Walz versus Senator J.D. Vance, Tuesday, October 1st at 6 p.m., immediately following the debate. Broadcast live here on KBLA Talk 1580. There will be a live panel discussion. Refreshments will be served and seating is limited. So RSVP right away at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
I need your dollar, that's what I need.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates small businesses, the enduring lifeblood of our community, with the launch of the KBLA SMB Marketplace. For the first time, small to medium-sized businesses will have an opportunity to promote their goods and services on KBLA and take advantage of our powerful reach and local marketing power. The SMB Marketplace is hosted exclusively on KBLA1580.com and is accessible from all our social media channels. Whether you're a small mom and pop restaurant, a car dealership, or a professional practitioner, we invite you to join in this new KBLA Talk 1580 initiative to promote your business. As a black-owned small business, you don't want to miss this unique opportunity to gain new customers on KBLA Talk 1580. For more information, contact us today at smb@kbla1580.com. That's smb@kbla1580.com. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And if I share with you my story, would you share your dollar with me? Time to get paid.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not to unsettle you. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning. Happy Friday. God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show, I'm pretty sure you know it. It's called First Things First. And my first thing today and every day is giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it started. Did I bypass God? The blessings of God Almighty. Don't want to bypass that Friday or any day. And we got a lot to do around here. Hour 1, we look local, what's going on the left coast side of town. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. We do it a little different on Fridays. That's because it's Freedman Friday. And we always focus on the reparations movement. In hour 2, it's meant to be a comprehensive reparations conversation to help move the ball down the field so we can achieve victory. And victory is comprehensive and multi-pronged. It's just not one moment or one action. So that's what we do Fridays. Today we will be having Tavis's producer, Faraji Muhammad, will sit in with us hour 3, and of course Miles Lowe. And we'll be hearing from Sharice Cryer, hour 2 for Freedman Friday. Right now, we have a longtime community activist. He was with the Community Coalition for many years before getting into radio. And now he's the producer for both Areva Martin and Dr. Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580. Rob Battles, welcome.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
And Rob, you're kind of filling in the clutch right now because today is Sherry Bell's birthday.
Happy birthday, Sherry.
Yeah, wherever you are. She's somewhere in the world vacationing and well-deserved. Libra season.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got my KBLA shirt on. I'm here to pinch hit as best I can. It's baseball season, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure they're loving your shirt in the chat. You know a lot about City Hall and the workings of the City Council and such. So today I'm being honored with the Pioneer Woman of the Year Award.
Get out of here. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's according to council district.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in District 10.
Uh-oh.
So my council member is Heather Hutt, and she has chosen to honor me.
All right.
Yeah,
Congratulations again.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't happen to a better person.
Well, I mean, what does that really mean? Do you know? I love to be recognized, and I know they pick one from their district each year, but...
No, I think anytime you can be acknowledged for your legacy, for having the kind of impact that you have on a community, it's always a good thing for folks and friends to be able to give you your flowers while you're here.
Yeah. Well, I also think she happens to be a great councilwoman, which is a lucky thing because we went through some struggly times in CD10.
Oh, yeah. A lot of turmoil in CD10. I mean, you got council members getting replaced and indicted. It's historically always been, held by an African American representative. So there's always a contention that as black leaders, are we looking at seats that we may lose in the future? Like all those are always on the table.
Well, yeah, and in this election, it would be not that far in the future because should she lose, the person running against her in the general election is Grace Yu, who is not black.
Right. Last I checked.
Yeah, she's an attorney. Definitely not a black attorney, but more on that later. When we talk down ballot, I usually think of, what's going on in the state of California or the city of Los Angeles. I know I was talking with Council Member Marquise Harris Dawson yesterday. We were talking Council President, that's right. Council President Marquise Harris Dawson. We were actually talking about his new ascension to the presidency. And there is a measure on the ballot this year for LA specifically that's changing redistricting. I know you were involved with redistricting in the past.
Yeah.
And this one would
time
take
to get an independent commission.
Right. So you have any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I didn't realize that the needle had moved a little bit more recently, but I'm glad to hear about it. It's something that's been on the on folks' minds for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, when you mentioned the 10th, redistricting, that was part of that whole conversation with the tapes and all that was coming out a couple of years ago. So
yeah.
The idea that we're moving that ball down the field, it feels like, all right, now's a good time to have that conversation.
Yeah, if you're not familiar, the 10th was part of a pretty massive redistricting that happened like 20 years ago, and then we had it was 12 years ago, I guess.
Every since
every 10 years, yeah. And then we had another redistricting this time a couple of years ago that was very controversial.
Yeah. Council President Marquise Harris Dawson was at the center of it. The 8th district was being redrawn and was trying to recapture some some geography, so to speak, which is a key part of redistricting, right? Is making sure that the lines are drawn in ways that actually keep power with a certain type of residents. So when you're trying to create maybe a new economic opportunity in your district, it's kind of hard to do in LA. Our council system is pretty specific, and it might even be antiquated, some would say. It needs to expand, but that's kind of how it's set up here.
Right. So that means they can draw the lines to include or exclude certain communities. And last time it was assets they were
Correct.
fighting over, right? They were fighting over the airport. They were fighting over
USC.
Yeah, because those are big economic engines, right?
Right. And we knew that this would be the redistricting map that would also influence things going into the Olympics, right? Going into 2028, there's going to be some infrastructure decisions that have to be made in order to accommodate that. So that means that lots of deals have to be made between the city, Metro, Caltrans, like all kinds of institutions.
Right. So who has control over that in their district can impact how much clout they have and how much economic opportunity comes into that district. So it's a big deal. And you started out saying an independent commission. That's what this ballot measure does. I know that there are lawmakers who wanted the redistricting to go to the state level for cities, but this would keep it at the city level, and it would be an independent commission made up of citizens who would apply for those positions. My only concern with that, of course, is are we going to apply? Will we have the time and resources to take those? I'm imagining it's many hours.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cities, right, within just LA County. I think it's about, 80 different cities within the county itself. So that means that if it's at the city level, that every single entity has to kind of set the bar for their redistricting. And I think that not every local government is set up to take on that task or wants to take on that task. So to kick it up to somebody at the state level seems like it might make sense if you're in maybe a small town kind of setup in LA County versus LA proper.
Right, because, Pacoima is part of LA.
Exactly.
The city, not the county. And so we think of maybe downtown and, just the little central area, South LA, whatever. But LA encompasses the valley and all of that.
South Bay. Yeah, there's a lot of components to it.
Yeah, which are part of the city council and the mayor's purview. Yeah, it's huge. That's why my dad, the late Dominique Baraka, used to say, there is no L.A. I drove around looking for it, and I couldn't find it. It's very much of an East Coast perspective where you expect cities to be centralized.
Yeah, go to a couple neighborhood council meetings. I think that they're also a crucial part of that equation as well. Like, they're the ones that are continuing the conversation at the resident level the entire time. Like, redistricting isn't just something that pops up for them once every 10 years. It's something that they're constantly in a position to impact and to affect. So if you're sitting at home and you're wondering, like, well, what would be the most effective way for me to impact redistricting before it happens again? I think one of the great starts is be a part of the neighborhood council.
Yeah. And that's a great point. We have a PSA on where Tavis talks about the neighborhood councils. And so hopefully by now you've listened to it enough times to know what they are. It's like it's meant to be a micro government, semi-government body that has a direct communication to the official government bodies, but it is part of the city government. Right?
Oh, yeah. I took many, many calls working on the redistricting project, specifically from members of neighborhood councils, hundreds of hours of calls of folks telling us what was on their mind. And I can only imagine what it would have been like if we would have been able to engage folks, for a longer period of time. I think we kind of had a strong community outreach presence maybe the last 6 to 9 months before it was time for decisions to be made, which in usual circumstances, that's about as much time as folks give, but you could do more.
So would you say those calls from neighborhood council have more weight than just a person that's not affiliated with the neighborhood council calling?
I believe so, yeah, because neighborhood councils have the right to advocate, beyond just their own individual concerns, and they can do a both and kind of scenario, and they can always team up and say, hey, 15 of us are going to call, so you're going to hear from 15 people straight saying that this is a problem. That matters. That makes an impact.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. You could just Google neighborhood council, LA neighborhood councils. They have their own website. I don't know it off the top of my head. It's in the PSA, and you can learn how to join. Anyone can join a neighborhood council, I think.
Correct.
You have to be voting age. I don't think you can be a little kid, but anyone.
But if you live in that neighborhood or own a business.
In the neighborhood. Right, so you don't even have to live there. You could be a business owner. What they call stakeholders.
There you go.
One of those politic-speak words. Stakeholders means you have something to do with that neighborhood. Rob Battles is here with me in for Sherry Bell and Miles Lowe, of course, on the boards. But you are invited in every hour, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. We are unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Are you coughing a lot, especially at night? Are you often short of breath? Are you using your rescue inhaler often? These could be signs that your asthma is not under control. To keep your asthma in check and help prevent an asthma attack, ask your healthcare provider for an asthma action plan. This is a personalized plan you create with your doctor that shows you what to do and what medicines to help control your asthma and to use when you're having a hard time breathing or when you're having an asthma attack. Please don't wait until you're having an asthma attack. Do something about it now. Schedule a visit with your healthcare provider today to make that action plan and take control of your asthma. For more tips and resources on the management of asthma, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Febreze.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Back to me right now and back to Rob Battles. Rob, not Robert. And tell him, and speaking of Rob, not Robert, tell him where to find you on the IGs and things.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, you can follow me at Rob_Battles, BATTLES, on Twitter. I'm not going to call it X. And same thing for Instagram.
So we talk a lot about down ballot. Yeah. Well, not enough, to be honest with you. I got my creators for Kamala pen, and
there it is.
You know, the top of the ticket does seem very, very important right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a sprint to November. You got a historic candidate right here that folks are familiar with, and some people are getting to know for the first time. So why wouldn't it draw everyone's attention? But it's not the only thing that really is going to matter, because, I mean, it's clear that if you're party affiliated on the Democratic side or Republican side, there's a lot more at stake than the presidency.
Right. And so break that down from your perspective.
Well, the term down ballot just specifically talks about, if you imagine a ballot being listed from top to bottom, the top of the ticket is going to be the presidency, but you have all these positions that have to be filled in around the House, so that's the Senate and the Congress, but then you also have local measures around judges that get hired, that get elected, governorships, like all of that is on the table. So when you're talking about the down ballot pieces, you're also looking like, well, where are some components where a party might want to strengthen their resolve around policy making. So right now, we're saying that in the down ballot kind of national picture, Republicans only need to win 2 new seats or 1 seat in the White House to retake control, right? So I think that means that there's a lot at stake for Democrats.
2 new seats in the House.
In the House,
yeah,
correct.
House of Representatives. I mean, which is out of hundreds of seats. They only need to win 2 if, as long that means hold and win 2.
Yeah, it's a lot of tight races, though. Like I said, Republicans are going to try to hold on to what they got as best they can, but there's a lot of challenges from Democrats in strong-held Republican areas. So I think that gives them, a little bit of a wind in their sails right now.
I mean, honestly, last election cycle, it was really New York that lost us the House. The stupid races like George Santos winning, you know what I'm saying? And now this time, I think California's got a couple pivotal seats. Obviously not right where this radio station is, not in South LA, but in Orange County and some of the, outer areas or interior areas of California. We have some seats, but just because you live in Maxine Waters or Sidney Comlager's district doesn't mean you can't donate, door knock, call, for somebody in a contested district.
I say get involved. I'm not even a registered party affiliate, but I get hit up with texts and outreach from both sides that are trying to get folks involved. So I'd say that in California, that if you're trying to be involved, there's a lot of ways to get involved.
So you're declined to state or no party affiliation, I think they call it now.
Yeah. But that's not new. I'm not trying to be controversial or anything. I just don't think I ever actually got around to officially declaring party affiliation.
You are trying to be controversial. No, I'm a registered Democrat, have been my whole life, but I definitely consider myself independent-minded and not a reliable person to toe the party line. I'm interested in what is most important, most helpful for my community, for Black people, for women, for people who, love democracy and justice. So we're talking about a time when there's already a paper-thin margin in the House. Right. With Republicans controlling it at the moment.
Well, and like I said, what's important about this conversation, when folks are focused on the top of the ticket, they're literally just thinking about that one race. But the impact kind of goes all the way around. It's not just relegated to the president. I mean, the office of the president. So when you're talking about governorships, you see that there's a race in North Carolina. We see that there's a power of governors to elect judges. They have an impact on on Supreme Court recommendations, things like that. So when we see that there's a lot of these close races, whether you're party affiliated or not, I think that you have every incentive to get involved and be active in this election cycle. Even if you're not supporting either one of the 2 major parties, there's still third-party candidates, and there's ways for folks to still be engaged.
I mean, of course, there's third-party candidates, but when you're talking down ballot, it's also really about who controls the House, who controls the Senate. On a local level, like here, the executive branch being the mayor.
Right.
And then you've got the city council, your legislative branch, and District 14, where the disgraced racist city council member Kevin De Leon is running against a progressive attorney who is, for renters' rights. And I guess they had a debate night before last. I heard that from people that were there that Kevin De Leon had Latino supporters who were chanting "All Lives Matter," about a dozen. And Black Lives Matter showed up about, 30, 40, 50 deep. Then they had white people for Black Lives there and a bunch of allies that were people from the neighborhood. And reportedly, he really bullied her, which doesn't surprise me because she's a soft-spoken Filipino woman who is a longtime progressive advocate. And to me, the fact that someone that was heard on that tape plotting to undermine Black voting power, and who didn't even defend himself from anti-indigenous slurs.
No.
And who disrespected Black people by saying we ain't nothing but 25 Black people yelling. The fact that he even has a chance after Ron Herrera stepped down, after Nuri Martinez stepped down, after Gil Cedillo was voted out, by his district is unfathomable, although to me it speaks to the fact that he is a seasoned politician and a bit of a bully.
Yeah, well, all politics is local, and I think that in that particular camp, they're holding on to a firm grip. I think that there's a lot of fear that if they were to relent in any way, shape, or form, that would have lead to a cascade of changes that they're not ready for or on board for. So they'd rather support, a candidate that has this despicable background versus then create this radical change they fear.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. What I've witnessed, actually. I've witnessed Kevin De Leon's campaign fanning the flames of fear of black people among immigrants to this country who...
The American way.
Who don't, they're citizens, obviously, because they can vote, but they don't necessarily know English, or their English ain't that great, and they're getting their idea about who black people are from television shows and stories and rumors they've heard. So I think he's preying on that anti-blackness. I think he's using his skill as a veteran politician and owed favors that are owed from times past.
Yeah, no, I think your gut is right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that using media manipulation and misinformation is par for the course, unfortunately. And this time of year gets turned up anytime there's an election cycle.
But if KDL wins, that is such a huge blow to progressive LA, to anti-racist LA, to black LA. I mean, that is going to be very bad news. That's like Trumpian if this guy wins, to be honest with you.
Can't argue with you on that one. Yeah, no, I don't think it's a good look for the city, but that's just my perspective. It's not my district. I'm not in the neighborhood council over there.
It doesn't matter though. You can still donate. You can still door knock. You can still,
let it be known.
Yeah, let it be known. So to your point, and we're only a minute away from news, traffic, and sports, but looking on Cal Matters, and they're tracking 7 races in California that could be close, congressional races. Adam Gray is a Democrat running against the incumbent John Duarte, and that's in the San Joaquin Valley, District 13. Yeah. And it looks like he beat him by quite a lot in the primary, but of course those are more crowded.
Yeah, no. Now that everything's a little bit more condensed, we're going to really start to see the strength of the candidates and where their real pool is as we move forward.
Yeah, and of course, Mr. Duarte pretty far ahead in fundraising, but these are places where door knocking can really, really make a difference. And of course, the Teachers Federation, Senator Padilla, and a bunch of others have endorsed the Democrat in that race. We are accepting your phone calls. We are talking about what's going on in this election. It's time to start paying attention. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Vice President Harris is scheduled to visit the southern border today for the first time since she became the Democratic nominee for president. Former President Trump is criticizing Harris's visit. He said she could have fixed the border issues as vice president. The International Longshoremen's Association is threatening to go on strike unless there's a new contract. Analysts say it could be the most disruptive walkout to the United States economy in decades. More than 1 million people are without power in Florida after Hurricane Helene made landfall Thursday night. That's according to tracking site PowerOutages.us. The overall total in the Southeast is around 2 million, as tens of thousands of customers in Georgia and the Carolinas are also without power. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and VINnews.com.
Hey, pool season fanatics, your summer persona is calling. It's time for sun-soaked party scenes at MGM Grand, new luxury cabanas at Bellagio, and sandy beach living at Mandalay Beach. Show off your poolside only with MGM Rewards. Visit MGMRewards.com for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
The Dodgers continued their dominance of the National League West Division. They captured their 4th straight division title and 11th in 12 years with a 7-2 win Thursday night over the Padres. The Angels ended up on the wrong side of history Thursday after a 7-0 loss to the Chicago White Sox. The Angels got swept by the worst team in Major League Baseball this season. The White Sox have lost 120 games, tying them with the 1962 New York Mets for the most losses in a season. The Angels needed only one win in the 3-game series to make the White Sox the worst team in MLB history, and they couldn't get it done. A sellout crowd of 46,000 showed up at Oakland Coliseum Thursday to see the A's final home game. The A's are moving to Sacramento next season after 57 years at the Coliseum. With the A's departure, the city of Oakland does not have a major pro sports team. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Moments like my daughter telling me a new joke mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chucha's opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chucha's Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Rob Battles. This must be KBLA Producers
I was gonna
Day.
say, you took it right out of my mouth.
Yeah, you and
Faraji.
Yeah. And let's go to Carl, calling us from L.A. Buongiorno, Carl.
Peace to you. How you doing this morning, Dominique, and your guest?
Blessed indeed. What's on your mind?
Doing well.
Okay, great. Yeah, hey, can you give me some information on Prop 64 and Prop 34? And what is the reason for Vice President Kamala Harris visiting the border this morning? What change is she going to bring to the border? I mean, I know it's out of control already, but can you elaborate on what?
Not quite as out of control as Republicans like to portray it. I'll say that, Carl. But look, Kamala Harris she's playing offense. That's what she's doing. She's playing offense, not defense. And there is a little defense in this, too, because the polling shows that the border and the economy are two areas where she's weak. She's polling weak with voters. So she's taking it to their face.
Right.
She's going right to the border. She just did an economic address on yesterday. She's not cowering in the face of their attacks. She's like, oh, you want to talk border? Let's talk border. I almost cussed.
You did.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Rob?
Oh yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like that's that economic piece was key. I think that's everything. If she doesn't if she doesn't hit the nail on the head with that one, I think she's got a much harder climb up that hill. But right now, I think that she did pretty good with her. I think her original rollout for me, I wasn't like it didn't hit me. I was like, well, what are you talking about? Like, this is all that it is. But I think she got more comprehensive this week, and it a lot of the detractors.
That's funny to me. That's the same thing that James Farr said, and I just think you guys are holding her to a different standard than any other politician. Because to me, she has way more specifics than Trump.
Oh well, I'm not comparing. I wasn't comparing her to Trump in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, at least Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah have, their 24 or 27, I think it is, $1 an hour minimum wage and stuff. But they're going into aspirational concepts, but not so much details.
No, yeah, and I think that's why she's going to stand on her record at where she currently is. I don't think she's worried about somebody like me who's saying, well, I don't think that really hit close to home for me. Like, I'm not the person she needs to sway. She should be.
I mean, she says she's trying to earn black man's votes. You are one of those.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna make the huge difference for me. That's all I'm trying to say in that particular case. So for somebody else that they're like, look, I got a small business. This speaks to me directly. I want to know about this. How do I get that $50,000? Like, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I think that also with the border, it's been such a problem issue, not just for Kamala Harris, for Democrats.
Right.
Huge issue for Joe Biden. Because Paul Lee's in the chat saying border crossings are down 70%, and that is true, that we're seeing, but it's always up and down, up and down. This is an issue that the United States has not dealt with. We do not have a comprehensive, sensible immigration policy, period.
Yeah, nobody in the White House getting an A+ on immigration policy.
I mean, and that's Democrats, Republicans,
right.
Democrats, Republicans. It's been going on my whole life. It's just now Republicans have figured out how to weaponize this, especially among black voters. And so good for her. Go to the border.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're here to do. You want to prove to folks that these are issues that you can step in front of and you can handle that. And people are arguing that they didn't think that she could do that. So every chance she can do that, I'd say she should be doing that. And she is.
I mean, and a lot of progressives don't like her stance on the border right now. She's vowing to pass that bill, the bipartisan bill that Trump killed because he thought it was better for his campaign to have the border be a problem.
Yeah.
And that bill is pretty conservative. I mean, it's not what most progressives would be looking for on the border.
Yeah, but I don't think that the border issue is where she's trying to rein in her base, so to speak. I think that's where she wants to go outside of her base and show that she can, reach across the aisle, so to speak, and focus on other issues. But maybe even the border is not even the real issue with progressives for her. Maybe it's somewhat of an issue. I still think it's going to be Israel and Gaza and foreign policy. Like, that's their wheelhouse in terms of, holding her to the fire.
Especially young voters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because this is their moment, right? This is their first chance that they're seeing this opportunity that, we're on the global stage and, some of us who've been around a little while, you know, seen how things kind of get baked in, and you see where you got to pick and choose your battles, so to speak. But I don't think that a lot of the young voters feel that way. I don't think that they feel like they need to wait, as maybe somebody like my age would have thought of when I was getting involved in politics 25 years ago. But for right now, I think that they're saying that everything is as visible as they've ever seen, and they don't want to see things kind of go into this backdoor kind of deal kind of version of everything. So
Right. Well, the fact that she did receive that endorsement from Gage, which is a huge Muslim voting engagement group, is significant because they're seeing hope. That they're not saying they're seeing clear policy change.
Mm-hmm.
They say they're seeing hope. And that's what I was talking about. Because of her speeches, she says they deserve, talking about Palestinians, dignity, security, and sovereignty.
Right.
Sovereignty.
Which we haven't been hearing.
Key. I haven't heard that from anybody else.
No, you don't. And so I think that's where there's hope there that, you know, it's not a light switch kind of situation. I mean, I think some people feel like there's like, you're the vice president, you can do this.
We could do an arms embargo. We could do that. That would be a light switch. And I mean, as Israel appears to be bombing everything but their mama at the moment, it feels more and more appropriate. That the only way we can really get to a ceasefire is to stop providing the weaponry.
Right. The question is, where's the pressure going to happen between now and November to force that to happen? And is it going to be
nowhere,
exactly?
Not at all.
That's my fear too. I agree.
Yeah, but it has to ramp up afterwards. I think Paul Lee has a great point in the chat as usual. He's talking about it. We forget that it's Congress that has to act on the border. We need border.
Thank you, Paulie.
Border laws and policies, and you know, Congress that controls the purse strings. That said, you do want to hear what the president's perspective is, because hopefully they have some clout with Congress.
Well, yeah, well, the idea being that if she's the party leader and the Democrats are successfully able to recapture the House, like, you'd want to feel like there's some lockstep happening there, that there isn't going to be this, you know, incongruous kind of relationship.
Absolutely. I mean, Trump seems to be controlling his party, and he's not even president anymore.
Oh, man, he's got his hand up the back of that entire party, and he's just puppeting.
Ooh, it's really like a cult. I mean, that's no longer a joke. Let's go to Dwight, straight out of Compton. Dwight.
Good morning, Dominique. Happy belated birthday to Tavis, and happy birthday to Sherry Bell, and glad to have your guest on this morning. The economy and the border. These Republicans, no matter what you do, they're not going to be happy. Trump killed the border bill that was both a bipartisan bill with Democrats and Republicans. And as far as the economy goes, Trump has been bankrupt so many times. He gave billionaires a $2 trillion tax break that added to our deficit. So whenever the Republicans are presidents, they spend as much money as they can on the rich people and cut programs for the poor. And then they cry about the deficit every time we get a Democratic Republican, because they want to cut poor and working class programs for the American people. So, Dominique, I'm voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I'm voting Democratic straight down. I'm voting for any proposition that will help poor and working class people, because Republicans are nothing but for racism and the rich. That's what that big R for is. I mean, and Russia. And so Russia is there too, because they use Russian talking points, so we know what the R in the Republican stands for. And they hide behind racism. Oh, we worried about, taxes for the rich. The billionaires need to pay their fair share of taxes that they owe, and then we can pay for the programs that they're crying, well, how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to make the rich people pay their taxes? That's how we pay for them. But, Dominique, I love your show. Thank you for all the great information you give us. And I'm writing down which propositions to vote for, because we see Norm Nixon seems to be yes on some of the things that we want to vote no on. So we really got to study and stay up on what we should and shouldn't vote for.
Yeah, and with celebrities, I mean, you always take it with a grain of salt. I think some of them are the ones that are more involved in politics. I'm more inclined to listen to, but I'm still going to cross-check it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kind of data that goes back and forth about celebrity endorsements. I think it matters a little bit more than we want to give it credit to in certain cases, but for the most part, you should know who your credible political sources are, and most of the times they're not going to be celebrities.
And also, I mean, also celebs do get paid sometimes to do those
Sometimes.
commercials and things. So we don't even know if they, A, really believe that, or B, actually know what they're talking about.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of these are PR moments that are just, hope it goes viral.
It's a check. I mean, really, many times it could be just a check. Thank you for calling, Dwight.
Yeah, tell us how you really feel. I appreciate it. Yeah, Dwight, I think you're right on point, man. Shit, if you were running, you might get my vote.
Thank you, Dominique.
Dwight for Compton City Council.
Hey.
So, also Carl asked about 34 and 65. I've not figured out all of these propositions yet. I am not going to lie. I am working on it.
Well, 64, that's the Adult Use Marijuana Act.
Oh, did he say 64? I thought he said 65. Okay. 34 is confusing.
Mm-hmm. Because this is about drug costs or something?
Yeah, it makes people that participate in Medi-Cal drug programs have to spend 98% of their revenues on patient care. Me and Sherry talked about that. I thought it sounded really good. But then I see the yes and no side, and it's like, more research needed. So I would ask you to watch this space on Prop 34. I looked up the wrong prop, Prop 64. We'll speak on that a little bit when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
Oh, man. Looks like Bobby needs a ride to the airport again.
Grab the keys.
Who's taking Auntie and her friends to the swap meet?
Grab the keys.
How about we drop these boxes off at Miss Johnson?
Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, you're all about getting things done. So do it all in a Chevy SUV. From the versatile Equinox and sporty Blazer to the roomy Traverse, our lineup of SUVs will carry you through every adventure. All you have to do is...
grab the keys?
That's how we do. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR on all 2024 Silverado 1500, Blazer EV, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Colorado models. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment, 12.7%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/24.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back to Producers Friday around
That's
here.
the new one. That's it.
KBLA Talk 1580. Man, I am feeling for those folks with that hurricane. I know that's not local, but it's just terrible.
It's going to touch people all over the country, so you got to recognize, you got to acknowledge. I'm sure that there are LA folks that are worrying about family members, that they're looking out there calling. They may be having folks have to come stay with them. Like, that's definitely got prayers.
1 million people without power, and that's, going through Georgia, went through Florida yesterday, flooding, trees. I mean, I was watching last night. It was just so strong. It's the strongest storm they've had in, our lifetime.
That's
for sure. They've never had a hurricane make landfall while it was still a 4 category.
Yeah, that's
4.
what I was hearing yesterday. Yeah. I couldn't believe that never happened, and that's what makes it so scary, right? That in 2024 there's these climate realities that people are living with that we've never seen before in our lifetimes, and you got people still denying that there's an issue.
Yeah, it's really sad. Okay, so we couldn't find a proposition. You're talking about Carl, you might have to call us back. 65, I thought you said that one already passed. It's about chemical warnings on things that cause cancer. 64 already passed. That was the Adult Marijuana Use Act. So we couldn't find what you were talking about. And I clearly still have some work to do. 34 I haven't figured out yet. You asked me about the ones I've already figured out, like 32. 32 is minimum wage, right, Rob?
Yeah. I mean, we can do a quick breakdown. There's about 10 of them. There's a Prop 2 that is focused on school bond measures. Prop 3 is around same-sex marriage. Prop 4 is around the climate bond.
Yeah. The thing is, we have to figure out like what they really mean, because what I hate about propositions and city measures is that many times, I mean, and thanks to Isaac Bryan for at least passing that measure where they have to say if they're overturning something we already passed, but still a lot of times if you don't really do the research and figure out who's behind this, you can vote for the opposite of what you think you're voting for.
Yeah, and I think you made a point too, where you're talking about a prop that you were feeling like we were on one side, you were in support of, but then when you actually saw who was putting it up, if you scroll down, you're gonna always see who the sponsors and the authors are.
That's Proposition 34.
Yeah, and that matters. It really does matter. So we talked about media manipulation a little bit. I mean, some of it is just you just got to get your sources and be trustworthy, but you got to do the due diligence yourself and see if the folks that are putting this up are the kind of folks that you're in line with.
I mean, 34 and 35 are both medical ones, right? I feel like, to me, this is legislators not doing their job. Why are we, who are not doctors, not experts on this, and many times we're being fooled by advertising, making these kinds of decisions? Like dialysis was on the ballot for the past 5 elections. Now we're on Medi-Cal. Most people don't understand this. We're not going to understand it. I will figure it out because I want us to have, but I haven't done it yet. I have figured out 36, and I'm going to vote. I am going to vote yes on 33 because I feel like raising the minimum wage to $18 an hour in the state of California makes sense. And I know that can be a burden on businesses, but I feel like if our business model requires us to pay people less than what they need to live the bare minimum in the city where they work, that's a problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, no argument
from me.
With
the business model,
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, this is all part of a package of props you can check out at calmatters.org. There's, we got to look at minimum wage, local rent control is a proposition for it. So definitely do your due diligence. Watch the 1-minute video breakdowns. Get involved.
Well, yeah, I think the rent control one people misunderstand because they think it's going to impose rent control. And all it does is get rid of Costa-Hawkins, which was an old rule that meant you couldn't impose any rent control at all on newer buildings. And so
which is like what?
Right. So all it does is it gives cities the opportunity and counties to make their own policies.
Well, yeah, like I said, we want to empower folks at the local level. These are the kinds of propositions that you need to be paying attention to. That it's not going to be a part of the larger party picture, but your local political picture is definitely important.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to pivot back to these a couple of these local races that we're talking about down ballot, where the local impacts the national, because we do need to get the House of Representatives back. All this dumb stuff about playing chicken with the budget, waiting till the last second, and then doing these ridiculous little short budget, don't shut down our country.
And cash infusion type solutions.
And then stupid trying to impeach Homeland Security, wasting time on stuff when there's actual work that needs to be done on behalf of Americans.
Yeah, no, like you said, in this time, you want to see if people are going to show you their mettle, and sometimes people are going to let you down in this time frame, more times than not, unfortunately.
So for Southern California, District 47, this is one where you really could go and volunteer or phone bank or whatever, because this is a Republican running against a Democrat. Neither one of them are incumbents. It's Dave Min against Scott Bowell, the Republican. This used to be Katie Porter's seat. Remember, she ran for Senate and lost, and a lot of us were upset because that has been a Republican area, and she was able to convert it. And then she went and tried to be a senator, and now it's a toss-up. I mean, they were basically tied.
Yeah, no, she did a great job getting that district on folks' radar and realizing like how important something like that was. It's just curious if she would maybe stayed at that level. If it
She
would
should have stayed put. I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah, if she could have held on to it in that way, that might have made more sense. But you start ascending, and folks think that let's just move you up to the next level, and it's not as strategic, but it's opportunistic.
Well, yeah, it's more better for her career, not better for
the people.
The people, yeah. But in any case, Dave Mann is trying to be that guy, and that's right up the street. Okay, that's Huntington Beach, Irvine, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, that area right there, and is really in contention. That's in play. That could go back to Republicans, and that would be a bad thing. The other one is District 45, which is Orange County, Buena Park, Garden Grove, and you have Michelle Steele, who is an incumbent. This is two Asian candidates running against each other versus Derek Tran, who is a Democrat and a workers' rights advocate. So, again, this is a tough race. It's been a lot of mudslingy, kind of dirty race.
Oh, one of those. That's some good old politics right there.
Yeah. So, again, you might not live in Fullerton, Yerba Buena, Bellflower, or Lakewood.
Yeah.
But you can certainly impact that race.
And like I said, and if your interest is to have the stronger Democratic Party in place as possible, like you should be trying to help win all of these races. Like there is not a single race to lose, specifically in the House. I mean, I think the prediction is like if Kamala and Walz, win the presidency, but they don't have the House, none of the things that folks really want to see them, attempt to do are going to get off the ground. And that could be frustrating because now you're looking at 4 years of contentious back and forth, or at least 2 years to there's the midterms. And now you're never really getting to see anything take flight. So I think that there's, opportunity here for folks to roll up their sleeves, get involved and get invested, and, really see if they can have that impact they want.
Well, we've got about a minute and a half here, Rob Battles. What would you like to spend it on?
Just, I hope everybody in L.A., greetings and salutations to the rest of the country. I hope you guys are enjoying, listening to us in this conversation. We pride ourselves here at KBLA in making sure that we give you all the best in news, analysis, hot takes as much as we can. We hope you're having a good time with us today. But I don't have much more I want to talk about. We can plug the shows.
Yeah, let's plug your shows.
Yeah, every day from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific and 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern, there's a More Perfect Union with Dr. Quartelai Quartey. We're always interested in having on guests who come from this human interest perspective and get to sit down one-on-one with Dr. Nee. He's a great interview. And then, of course, from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific and 7 to 9 Eastern, our drive time show, Areva Martin in real time. And our host, civil rights attorney Areva Martin, is always here to bring in folks that are making news or folks that you should be knowing about in the news cycle and, really hearing those stories, directly from the horse's mouth.
And Dr. Quartelai Quartey has been traveling with VP
Chief
Kamala.
White House correspondent.
Yeah, he's been traveling with Kamala Harris. And then you have attorney Areva Martin, who's actually her friend. They're actually girlfriends. So, I mean, if you're interested in the inside scoop, they often have it.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Nee just wrote a book, Kamala, the Motherland and Me. If you can get that on Amazon, check it out. He talks about it a lot on the show. We also have a More Perfect Book Club, so we're always highlighting new artists, bold new voices, so check us out.
Yeah. And, of course, we have news, traffic, and sports. Then it's time for Freeman Fridays. That's what we do around here. Thank you for stopping by, Rob Battles.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you. Freeman Friday next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. By contract, analysts say it could be the most disruptive walkout to the United States economy in decades. More than 1 million people are